And last but definitely not least, all right, is Pisces moon. These people are emotional. When they get emotional, they cry a lot. Oh no, these people don't care about me. They don't care about what I got going on. They don't care about, I love somebody, or I really deeply care about somebody, but they are, giving other people attention. You know, they get like that. But then they also try to escape that. So, like, if they feel as though somebody's not, going to stick around or don't like them, they're like, okay, well, I know that there's other people out here, and they also see, my charm, and they see my, um, what I, present. They see my, dreaminess, my mystique that I have. I can just find somebody else. I can make, I can escape this situation and go towards this, go towards that. I don't like what I'm living right now. You know, I'm living in a area or around people that don't care about me, and I'm like pouring all this energy into them. They ain't giving me, any, type of meaningful anything anymore. So now I'm gonna, go turn to, alcohol. I'm gonna turn to, this. I'm gonna turn to that to escape this, whatever, and then you might get lost in shit like that, alcohol, you know, maybe, multiple sexual partners that you don't like, but you do like, but you're like into somebody else, but you're like into, other people too. You have a lot of compassion for people, and that's your whole, thing, and not just that though, not that, it could be, getting lost in, following other people too much, you know this friend is fun right now, but now they want to, turn on me and be this way. Well, I'll go over here and find somebody who's, also, like that, but like they have negative, like they ain't even your friends, but you like kind of trick yourself into believing they're your friend, or they're, cool with you, or, you kind of like glance over shit when you're emotional. You're like, I want to be the one to make this person feel better. I want to show them compassion. I want to be their friend that comes in and saves them from whatever, fuck's going on with them. But then in doing that, you kind of, lose track of your time and other things, and then you get upset about that. But you kind of forgot that you were the one, going out of your way for people and doing that. You don't have to give, yourself away so, carelessly, you know, when things don't go your way, type thing. Because this is the moon sign. You still have to have that wisdom about you. Okay, so they are, negative towards me. Maybe I need to hear them more, not just my feelings towards them, but their feelings towards me. And with that, you become more wise, and you do. And once you've done that, then you can be like, better off navigating other people. And you're a person that is deep, right? Too. This person's of water signage. So you have a better intuition than most people too, and you do. You can tell when somebody's, going through it. You feel their lack of whatever, you know. You feel their, anything, any negative emotion, you feel it. Any positive emotion, you feel it. You know when somebody's, in their feelings or not. You kind of fuck around too, where if you're feeling bad, you're gonna make somebody else feel bad too. If you know, you like to sometimes cause drama for people, but you really don't want to be that person. You want to be that person that people see and is like, damn, that's a person that might be able to help me out. You want to be their savior. You want to be a compassionate individual. You want to care for other people, in their times of need. When nobody else is around, you're there and you're like a beacon kind of. But sometimes it don't work that way, and you're actually, the one actually not saving them, but in actuality, you're the one like not doing that. You're the one actually, bringing them fucking down. It's good to, want to help people and be compassionate towards other people, but you don't gotta like go and make a whole thing about it. You know, lose yourself, getting emotional, getting off track with yourself. So somebody doesn't do what you do, or so somebody said something that hurt your feelings. There's other people out here. Those people, come back when and maybe they were wrong. Maybe you, weren't. That don't matter. You have to always be or try to be a compassionate person towards the ones that you feel deeply towards. Like one Pisces moon might not feel, deeply towards a person's situation, but you feel deeply towards that person. You have to, approach them, be, how you can be. Maybe help them out, but don't stick around them too long because you also have to, help yourself too. But like you also know in helping other people that brings your spirits up too. But you can like sense it without being, stated or anything. You can sense what underlying, truths there are or whatever in others. And you're like, okay, well, that's a person that's not really, wise about how they do things, or that's a person that's not really, you know, my kind of fun. I feel like if I'm around them, then, and if you're doing shit like that, then you'll be all right, I guess. You know, don't go and create, problems from like, because you know what somebody's going through, and then you're gonna like extra like keep them toxic, keep them, depressed. You don't have to be that person when you want to be that one that's a savior, a beacon of, when nobody else wants to be around me, I have so and so, a compassionate soul. That's who you want to be. You know, you want to bring people down to your level if you're going through something, or you just don't like that person, so you're gonna go fuck with them and make their day, worse. No need for that. Just try to be cool, calm in the corner, and you can, you know, and you have great intuition too. So be cool, calm in the corner.